Imagine your childhood best friend just signed a multi-million-dollar record deal. Like massive, life-changing money.
Right, the kind of money that changes everything for everyone around you.
Exactly. But then, a week later, you find yourself locked in a county jail cell facing a really serious gun charge. You're desperate, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
You are staring at this massive bail amount, so you make your one phone call to that newly minted millionaire friend, and your call just goes straight to voicemail.
Oh, man, that just completely shatters your reality. Because in that moment,
Mm.
you aren't just navigating a terrifying legal system. You're grappling with this profound, visceral sense of abandonment
Yeah.
by the very person you stood shoulder to shoulder with to build that dream in the first place.
It's heavy. And welcome to our deep dive. We are incredibly thrilled you are here with us today because we are unpacking a story that takes that exact scenario and amplifies it in front of millions of watchful fans.
Millions. It's wild.
We are wading into a narrative that will challenge how you think about success, community, and honestly, the staggering price of loyalty.
We really are. And we have a very comprehensive stack of sources guiding our analysis today.
Yeah, tell them what we're looking at.
So the foundation comes from excerpts of the text, The Drill Divide, Rivalry and Betrayal in Chicago Hip-Hop.
Great read, by the way.
It really is. And to ground that analysis in real time, on-the-ground reactions, we are supplementing it with some heavily debated Reddit threads and deep dive YouTube commentary. These track the raw history of Chicago's drill rap scene as it was happening.
So our mission today is to decode this complex, intensely debated narrative of betrayal within this specific music ecosystem. We're examining the tectonic rift between three monumental figures, Chief Keef, Lil Durk, and King Von.
Right.
And I want to stress right up front that you do not need to be a hip-hop historian to extract immense value from this.
Not at all.
Because this discussion totally transcends music. It's a profound study of survival, the psychology of leaving home, and what happens when unimaginable wealth collides with an environment defined by scarcity.
It serves as a really fascinating case study. I mean, we're observing the friction that occurs when the demands of a global entertainment industry are superimposed over the deeply ingrained loyalty codes of a single city block.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to truly grasp the gravity of this divide, we have to examine the soil it grew in.
Right, the foundation.
The sources root this conflict in O Block, a specific neighborhood on the south side of Chicago. We have to start with the fundamental ideological split over what you do when you finally make it big.
And this is where the paths really diverge.
Yeah. Chief Keef achieved a level of stardom that was just unprecedented for that area, and his response to that success was to put distance between himself and his neighborhood. Like, he relocated entirely.
Which is huge. What's fascinating here is we really need to look at the sociology of drill music to understand why that relocation was so seismic.
Right. It wasn't just a guy moving to the suburbs.
Exactly. The text highlights that drill isn't just standard hip-hop. It is intensely, dangerously hyper-local. These artists aren't speaking in broad metaphors. Drill is essentially cartography.
Cartography, that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, because the lyrics explicitly map out specific intersections, housing projects, and local rivalries. The entire genre is anchored in physical proximity to danger.
So it's like an audio map of their territory.
Precisely. The authenticity of a drill artist is completely tethered to their physical presence on that block.
Right, so if you leave.
So when Chief Keef left, he wasn't just changing his zip code. To the people still there, he was abandoning the very foundation of the movement he started.
Wow.
But Lil Durk, on the other hand, chose a totally different path.
Yeah, he stayed.
He achieved immense success too, but the sources emphasize that he remained physically and financially tethered to O Block. He stayed, he represented, and he heavily invested his resources back into that specific ecosystem.
So you have two diverging strategies for survival right there. Leave to protect the asset, or stay to empower the community.
And the Reddit sources we reviewed reveal how fans and local commentators violently debated this divergence. It birthed this whole two kings, one throne narrative.
I saw that in the threads. It's intense.
Very. It turned into a deeply philosophical community debate. Like, does true loyalty belong to the pioneer who put the entire scene on the global map? Or does it belong to the anchor who stayed behind to lift up the people still standing on the corner?
To frame this for you listening, think about it like a real-world business analogy. Imagine a brilliant founder who builds a revolutionary tech company in a struggling hometown.
Okay, I like this.
Right. To scale that company globally and ensure it survives, the founder moves the headquarters to Silicon Valley.
Makes business sense.
Meanwhile, the co-founder refuses to leave, demanding that the company's massive profits be aggressively reinvested in the local community that birthed the idea. It is fundamentally a clash of
It
visions.
really is a clash of visions.
But wait, I have to push back a little on the criticism of Keef based on our sources. The text explicitly describes O Block as a highly dangerous environment.
Yes, very dangerous.
Keef built the blueprint. Are we really saying he was obligated to physically remain in a location that actively threatened his life?
Well, that is the ultimate tension point the sources grapple with. The pro-Keith sentiment argues that self-preservation is the smartest form of success.
Which is hard to argue against.
Right. The logic is simple. If the house is burning, the person who finds the door and escapes isn't a traitor.
That makes total sense.
He provided the blueprint for escaping the fire. He doesn't owe his physical safety to the flames.
But pro-Durk supporters clearly view the throne through a completely different lens.
Oh, absolutely. They champion community presence over symbolic achievement.
Yeah.
They point to Durk's enduring relationship with figures like King Von as proof that you can reach the pinnacle of the industry without abandoning the soil that grew you.
Right, he brought people with him.
Exactly. To that faction, leadership requires physical presence, shared risk, and the literal sharing of wealth.
Ideological debates about the responsibilities of success are fascinating in theory. I mean, you can argue philosophy all day in a Reddit thread.
People certainly do.
But abstract philosophy only transforms into a blood feud when actual money and physical freedom are placed on the chopping block.
The theoretical tension needs a catalyst.
Yeah. And here's where it gets really interesting. The sources pinpoint a highly specific catalyst in 2013. Lil Durk gets hit with a serious gun charge.
A very serious charge.
The situation is incredibly dire, and he desperately needs bond money to avoid sitting in a county jail cell. Now, Chief Keef, at this exact moment, is wildly successful and flush with industry cash.
Millions.
And according to the reports in our text, Chief Keef allegedly refused to provide the financial support for Durk's bail.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, in the context of street politics, this single action shatters the illusion of a unified front.
Completely shatters it.
In standard everyday life, if a wealthy friend declines to loan you money, it might end the friendship, sure.
Right, you'd be mad.
But in an environment where incarceration is a daily looming threat, a declined loan for bail is perceived as an act of ultimate betrayal. You are effectively leaving a brother to be swallowed by the system.
I want to look at the mechanics behind that refusal, though. Did Chief Keef just wake up one morning and maliciously decide to leave his collaborator hanging?
Unlikely.
Or is there a larger mechanism at play here? Because our sources mention Keef had just signed an enormous multi-million-dollar deal with Interscope Records.
And that corporate mechanism is vital to understanding the why here. You have a very young man who is suddenly a massive corporate asset.
He's a brand now.
He is surrounded by industry lawyers, managers, and publicists whose primary job is risk mitigation.
Protecting the investment.
Exactly. From a corporate liability standpoint, wiring thousands of dollars in bail money for an active gun charge in Chicago is a massive red flag.
Right, the label would freak out.
The industry demands authenticity from these artists, but it also demands that the artist distances themselves from actual prosecutable danger.
It's quite the paradox.
It is. Keef's self-preservation was likely driven by an industry machine telling him to cut ties with the streets to protect the brand.
But corporate logic means absolutely nothing to a teenager sitting in a jail cell.
Nothing at all.
To Durk, the nuance of a record label's risk assessment doesn't matter. It just looks like straight-up abandonment.
And the fallout was immediate and structural. This specific financial friction formally fractured the Chicago drill ecosystem.
It was a clean break.
The Reddit threads meticulously map out how this wasn't just some private dispute. It forced a formal division of alliances.
You had to pick a side.
Yes. You suddenly had Keef's faction, Glory Boys Entertainment, or GBE, standing in direct, organized opposition to Durk's faction, Only the Family, or OTF.
Just visualize that pressure cooker for a second if you're listening. Imagine a massive financial slight happening between two of your closest friends.
It's stressful enough in private.
Now imagine your entire social circle being forced to formally choose a side, name your new competing groups, and then have millions of internet strangers watching you.
Millions of people just adding fuel to the fire.
Analyzing your loyalties and inciting further conflict online.
The environment amplifies everything.
Mhm.
A financial dispute leading to competing record labels is standard boardroom drama in Los Angeles or New York.
Right, lawyers handle it.
But the boundary between the music industry and the neighborhood is completely non-existent in Chicago drill. When GBE and OTF split, it wasn't a debate over market share.
No.
The split mapped directly onto territorial lines in the neighborhood.
And once those street-level lines are drawn, the stakes transition from financial tension to fatal reality.
They really do.
I want to shift the tone here a bit because we have to respectfully navigate the violent realities mentioned in our sources. We move from a feud over bail money into a devastating personal tragedy.
It gets very dark.
The conflict escalated irreparably with the murder of Blood Money, a close cousin of Chief Keef.
The narrative fundamentally alters at this juncture. Rivalry is entirely replaced by trauma.
Yeah. Relying strictly on the deep dive YouTube commentary we reviewed, a massive, incredibly heavy rumor surfaced immediately following this tragedy.
A rumor that changed everything.
The street-level rumor mill suggested that King Von was allegedly involved in Blood Money's death.
Right.
Now, our sources are extremely careful to note that this has never been publicly confirmed.
We have to emphasize that. It was unconfirmed.
But in the hyper-vigilant world we are discussing, a rumor of that magnitude doesn't need a court conviction to be a devastating weapon.
No, the perception is enough.
It instantly vaporized any hope of reconciliation.
We must consider the brutal geometry of these shifting loyalties. The text illustrates that King Von wasn't just a bystander in all this. He was the emerging anchor of O-Block.
He was the face of it.
He was aligned airtight with Little Durk. They were the embodiment of the very environment Chief Keef was actively distancing himself from.
So Keef is watching his childhood neighborhood, his former foundation, transform into actively hostile territory.
The psychological impact of that is staggering. You have Durk and Vaughn representing the block, and Keef on the outside.
Yeah.
When a rumor begins to circulate that the people running your old neighborhood might have had a hand in the death of your blood relative, it fundamentally rewires the psychology of everyone involved.
How could it not?
It injects profound grief and survival paranoia into what was originally just a dispute over bail money.
How do you even attempt to negotiate a musical rivalry when the rumor mill is whispering about family blood?
You don't.
You can't exactly book a studio session, sit down, and hash out a misunderstanding of that magnitude.
Negotiation becomes impossible. The tragedy of this deep dive is that the conflict is pushed past the point of rational discourse.
It's way beyond rap at this point.
Exactly. It ceases to be about rap, streams, or label dominance. It becomes a matter of raw, physical survival. When deeply personal trauma enters the equation, the capacity for reconciliation just exits.
And once those lines of trauma are drawn, the music industry doesn't let them heal in private.
Never.
It puts a microphone right in front of them. The industry actively forces artists to pick a side, and then it monetizes the friction.
Which is so cynical.
That dynamic brings us to 2014. Tensions are at a boiling point over the denied bail, the competing crews, the family tragedies, and the dark rumors.
A total powder keg.
And then the public disrespect hits the airwaves in the form of the Chirac remix trauma.
The sources highlight this as the moment the private trauma was fully weaponized for public consumption.
Everyone was watching.
Other rappers in the industry began jumping into the fray, openly taking sides to basically boost their own profiles.
The ultimate slight came when Chief Keef threw his public support behind a competing remix of the song Chirac,
Right.
a track that was specifically aimed as a sign of disrespect toward Lil Durk.
This raises an important question about the mechanics of the drill industry. Supporting a rival's track might look like a simple playlist preference to an outsider.
Like, oh, he just likes the song.
Right. But the YouTube commentators dissect the economics of this move brilliantly. In the drill scene, authenticity is measured by proximity to real-world danger.
Yeah.
Conflict generates engagement. By endorsing that specific remix, Keef was using the mechanisms of the music industry to wage a proxy war.
He used a song as a weapon.
He commercialized the street beef.
To
Durk, OTF, and the people still in O-Block, this was perceived as a highly public, calculated shot.
a huge slap in the face.
It forced their private pain and neighborhood divisions into the global sphere, transforming their survival tactics into a spectator sport for millions of fans.
The layers of this are just immensely heavy. When you pull all these threads together, the full picture of how we arrived here is staggering.
It really is a lot to process.
We started with two young men from the exact same block whose strategies for survival diverged. One sought safety and distance and corporate protection.
And the other sought strength in physical presence and community investment.
That divergence led to a denied bail request, which fractured their community into competing factions,
Factions that became echo chambers.
leading to devastating family tragedies and dark rumors, which finally culminated in public industry spats. Yet, despite the immense weight of all this, the sources make a point to note that their relationship remained remarkably complex.
Very complex.
It wasn't purely black and white hatred. There were periods of quiet tension and occasional whispers of potential, albeit fragile, reconciliation over the years.
Human relationships forged in high-stakes, survival-based environments rarely fit into neat boxes.
They really don't.
The foundational bonds of childhood, shared poverty, and early ambition don't just evaporate. They remain buried under layers of hurt, corporate maneuvering, and public feuding.
So what does this all mean? Why did we invite you on this deep dive to unpack the intricacies of a decade-old hip-hop feud?
It's a great question.
Because at its core, this isn't solely a story about Chief Keef, Lil Durk, and King Von. This is a story about the agonizing tug-of-war between community loyalty and self-preservation.
Absolutely.
It challenges you to examine your own life and the invisible contracts we sign with our hometowns. What do you truly owe to the places and the people that shaped your earliest days?
And at what point does an obligation to your past threaten the viability of your future?
As we synthesize these sources, I think the most vital takeaway is the absence of a clean good guy or bad guy narrative.
There really isn't one.
We often search for those simplistic labels to make sense of complex situations.
We want a hero and a villain.
Right. Instead, the text presents young men navigating an incredibly volatile reality where the definition of betrayal is entirely subjective.
It depends entirely on where you stand.
Exactly. From the perspective of the one who leaves, distance looks like the only path to survival.
Yes.
But from the perspective of the one who stays behind, that same distance looks indistinguishable from abandonment.
I want to leave you with a final lingering thought today. We've spent this entire time analyzing the heavy expectations these artists place on each other, the unforgiving demands of loyalty, and the unwritten rules of the neighborhood.
Yeah, the internal pressures.
But we have to pivot the spotlight toward the listener. We have to look at the fans populating those Reddit threads and driving the stream counts.
That's a really good point.
The music industry celebrates these artists precisely because of their authentic connection to highly dangerous environments. The sources show us how that authenticity is monetized.
It's their selling point.
So if we as consumers demand that their music reflect the brutal, violent realities of the street, aren't we ultimately complicit?
Wow.
By consuming the trauma as entertainment, aren't we demanding that they never truly leave those dangerous streets behind?
It creates a chilling paradox.
It really does. The audience rewards the art because it feels dangerous and real, yet the cost of providing that reality is exactly what fractures and destroys the lives of the artists creating it.
The next time you listen to a track that boasts about overcoming impossible odds, consider the invisible weight of the people who are left behind and the immense psychological cost paid by the one who made it out.
A heavy cost.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the narratives, keep looking beneath the surface, and always think critically about the mechanisms behind the art you consume. We'll see you next time.